Elizabeth L. Cheney, for putting the American people over party.
My reaction is I'm highly offended, but I'm not surprised.
I will say it's clear that Joe Biden genuinely believes that Liz Cheney did the right thing.
That's why the presidency under Joe Biden has been an abject disaster.
He's doing it because he believes it, and it's nice to see some kind of like genuine, authentic belief.
In this video today, Bernie Sanders calls out Elon Musk over his H-1B visa stance. President Biden surprised everyone when he awarded Liz Cheney today at the White House. And Speaker Mike Johnson is hoping for a win tomorrow. These stories and more in this video today, but let's start with what Bernie Sanders had to say. So bottom line up front, he stated this: Elon Musk is wrong. The main function of the H-1B visa program is not to hire the best and the brightest, but rather to replace good paying American jobs with low wage indentured servants from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make. Now, he actually wrote an entire letter, or publication rather, about this issue and posted it on the Senate website. And I just want to actually take out just a couple of the points he made in the letter that I think is worthy of reacting to. The first being is kind of all the way in the middle here. He put, and this is him actually basically calling out Tesla. He says, if there really is a shortage of skilled tech workers in America, why did Tesla lay off over 7,500 American workers this year, including many software developers and engineers in the factory in Austin, Texas, while being approved to employ thousands of H-1B guest workers? Moreover, if these jobs are only going to go to the best and brightest, why has Tesla employed H-1B guest workers as associate accountants for as little as $58,000, associate mechanical engineers for as little as $70,000 a year, and associate material planners for as little as $80,000 a year? Those don't sound like highly specialized jobs that are for the top 0.1%, as Musk claimed this week. Now, this is where I will give him credit. With this sentence here, I would say sums up the entire debate, and I think everybody should agree to this. Bottom line, it should never be cheaper for a corporation to hire a guest worker from overseas than an American worker, because that's really the source of everything. If that wasn't true, the H-1B program wouldn't really be as controversial as it is today. And then he goes on to say this: Mr. Musk and Mr. Ramaswamy and others have argued that we need a highly skilled and well-educated workforce. They are right. But the answer, however, is not to bring in cheap labor from abroad. The answer is to hire qualified American workers first, and to make certain that we have an education system that produces the kind of workforce that our country needs for the jobs of the future. And that's not just engineering. We are in desperate need of more doctors, nurses, dentists, teachers, electricians, plumbers, and a host of other professions. Now, this is where clearly I believe he is, talking out both sides of his, what, because I mean, let's just be honest. The education system is terrible, but you guys are fighting Trump on the idea of getting rid of it. So how do you square that exactly? Now, getting back to that post that he put up on X, some people believe he wrote this because he knows he's going to get a lot of attention, because he did another post about a month ago where he said Elon Musk is right. Now, in the comments section, some people are loving it and some people are offering counterpoints. Here's one user's post: then tighten the laws about H-1B. Do it via tax code. Salary, wages, and benefits for H-1B workers are not deductible. If it's a high-value specialist with no replacement domestically, companies will gladly give up $40,000 in tax savings. Simply change the tax code. It's a good point. Someone else wrote, what? A ton of my friends are here on the H-1B visa. They are not low wage whatsoever. Many are leading teams at some of the most innovative companies we have. Do you talk to business leaders? Do you want our economy to grow or shrink? Now, what's interesting is there's a problem either way you go. There's a problem if we're paying cheap labor at the detriment of American workers. And it's also a problem if we're paying top dollar to foreign workers instead of paying American workers. Now, X is having a little fun with this, because now what you're seeing is really this split in the MAGA world, people who support Trump, where you have the ones who support what Elon Musk is saying, and then you have ones who don't support what they're saying, and they actually agree with Bernie Sanders. And you guys can see it here, both populist agenda, of course, but have different views on this H-1B issue. Now, before we get to what Trump had to say about this issue, just let's go back a couple of months ago where Elon Musk said this about Bernie Sanders. Bernie is basically a communist, but he does seem to have integrity.
Why'd you change your mind on H-1B, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt that we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. We need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
So no matter what your opinion is about this issue, we clearly know there's two sides to this. There's a side that supports Trump, Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy, and the other side is against them on this particular issue. Now, I know one thing that everybody in the MAGA world is definitely against, and that is what Joe Biden did today. He awarded Liz Cheney with the second highest civilian award at the White House. Let's take a look at that.
Sometimes a medal is more than just a medal. Tonight, Joe Biden honored Liz Cheney at the White House. This award is both for her service and maybe to celebrate someone loathed by the president-elect.
Elizabeth L. Cheney, for putting the American people over party.
Now, of course, I'm not surprised by this move because we're talking about a president who pardoned his son after he told the country that he would never do it. And we're also talking about individuals who committed crimes in order to persecute Trump and actually prosecute people who attended the January 6th event. And even in some cases, these individuals are not guilty whatsoever. But because they wanted to send a message, they made an example out of people, and I believe they crossed the line. Actually, it's not even my belief. The Supreme Court has stated that. Now, I digress. Here is Congressman Byron Donalds reacting to this. Watch.
Congressman Donalds, I want to ask you, though, I don't know how you feel, but I was offended that President Biden gave one of the second highest medal of honor. It's not called the Medal of Honor, but a medal honoring these two congressmen, Congressman Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is I'm highly offended, but I'm not surprised. Joe Biden and his White House have lived in the bizarro land where no other Americans really exist. That's why the presidency under Joe Biden has been an abject disaster. This is just one of the last pieces of icing on that cake. Look, everybody knows that the fake January 6th committee, the only purpose was to basically put a lot of propaganda out into the information stream to go after and attack Donald Trump. It failed, completely backfired. They suppressed information. They tampered with evidence. There's reports out there that they were actually tampering with witnesses sitting in front of that committee. Something that has frankly never happened in the halls of Congress, happened with this J6 committee. So for them to be rewarded for, frankly, the lack of transparency and honesty they gave to the American people is disgusting, but why are we surprised? This is the presidency of Joe Biden, the very worst presidency in the history of our country.
That sums it up. I mean, that's exactly how people feel that are conservative and are on the right. Now, the people on the left, however, you already know how they feel about this. They actually think this is a great thing. They think Liz Cheney deserves this award. Some of them actually believe that Joe Biden believes that she did the right thing here. Let me show you an example of that. Watch this.
You know, I think the right loves to own the libs. So it's nice to see Joe Biden sort of get engaged in the counterpart on that from a Democrat. I will say it's clear that Joe Biden genuinely believes that Liz Cheney did the right thing. Like, he genuinely believes that she put country over party and that it's worth celebrating. And while it's also pretty funny from us from the outside, nothing Joe Biden does now has any electoral impact. He's doing it because he believes it. And it's nice to see some kind of like genuine, authentic belief from him at this point.
Now, Tom Fitton actually brought up a great point. Whoever's running the Biden White House had Joe Biden give Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson presidential medals for abusing President-elect Trump and other Americans' due process and the rule of law in a failed attempt to rig the election. And Glenn Greenwald writes this: having Joe Biden as one of his last acts bestow a presidential medal on Liz Cheney says so much about the value system of the Democratic Party. But what Biden said about Cheney, an advocate still of countless views liberals denounce as fascist, is even more telling. And he highlighted this part of the statement: Liz Cheney has raised her voice and reached across the aisle to defend our nation and the ideals we stand for, freedom, dignity, and decency, the White House said. Now, guys, someone else is making this decision and someone else is putting this together. I just don't understand why. Now, here's what Speaker Mike Johnson had to say in response to this announcement. He said, "What a complete joke and utter embarrassment. Biden is foolish. Give an award to members of Congress who intentionally and repeatedly lied to the American people. The January 6th Select Committee manipulated and destroyed evidence, created a fake, phony narrative, all to try and hurt Trump. They even hired a TV producer from the legacy media in a desperate attempt to legitimize what Americans knew was a total hoax and complete waste of time. Be assured of this: House Republicans will continue our investigation into this corrupt committee, and it will be fully funded so it can continue next Congress." Now, of course, we got to tell you what the comments are saying, right? Gunther Eagleman writes, "What a complete joke and utter embarrassment. That's how Americans felt when you handed the Democrats a blank check after a blank check without getting a closed border. You failed." He also followed up by saying, "What did Mike Johnson do for the J6ers?" Valentina Gomez writes, "And you're not going to do a single thing about it. Maybe try sending another strongly worded letter." Again, he sold us out every step of the way when we're talking about the priorities of an America First agenda. Each time he did what? He made a deal with the Democrats. And so the bottom line here is he never stood firm in his beliefs, especially as someone who comes out and says they're for putting America first, but there's no actions to show that that's really what he believes. And this brings us to his speakership, which the vote is tomorrow on Friday. And the only question that really matters is, does he actually have the votes? And will he win or will he lose? Well, let's first hear what Trump had to say about endorsing Mike Johnson.
What's your message to those Republicans who are still not supporting Speaker Johnson?
Oh, I think they'll support Speaker Johnson. I think we're going to have a great time in Washington, and I think we're going to get great support. He's the one that can win right now. People like him. Almost everybody likes him. Others are very good too, but they have 30 or 40 people that don't like him. So that's pretty tough.
Are you calling members on his behalf, sir?
Are you lobbying members?
Well, if necessary, but I think really we're going to have a great time. We're going to get a successful vote. He's a good man. He's a wonderful person, and that's what you need. We really do.
Why'd you change your?
And here's what Rand Paul had to say, which this is actually the nail in the coffin for me. As Congress debates re-electing the accidental Speaker Mike Johnson, conservatives across the country should remember Speaker Mike cast the deciding vote to allow a secret court FISA to search American records without a warrant and to send $60 billion to Ukraine. In one word, pathetic. Now, here is Mike Johnson with the media catching him in the hallway and asking him about tomorrow's vote. Watch.
Why are there still undecideds before this election? One day before the election, why are there still undecideds?
People are talking through process changes they want and those kinds of things, and I'm open to that. And I think tomorrow's going to go well.
What's your message to the undecided, Mr. Speaker?
Essentially, what he is saying, he's still in the middle of making some deals in order to get some votes. And let me show you an example of that. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, here she is on Matt Gaetz's first show, by the way, on OAN, stating what she wants from Speaker if he expects to get her vote. Watch.
I do believe that Mike Johnson coming out and committing to Chip Roy being the chairman of the Rules Committee would secure the vote on the first round with no significant battle.
So as you guys can see, she has an open mind to seeing a pathway for Speaker Johnson to win this thing. But there are others who are not of the same mindset, one of them being Congressman Thomas Massie, which, again, you got to respect his conviction. Here's what he had to say on that same show tonight.
If Chip Roy were asked to serve as chairman of the Rules Committee, would that be enough to get your vote for Mike Johnson?
Oh no, you can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank.
So as I've stated in other videos already, regardless of what happens with Speaker Mike Johnson, Trump will be certified as the next president. So we don't need to be afraid of that not happening, okay? That's number one. And by the way, he can afford to lose 2 votes on the Republican side, okay, and still win the speakership. Now, this leads me to my question that I'd love for you guys to answer in the comment section below. Do you think that what Joe Biden did with Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson today by giving them an award at the White House was more about trolling and trying to pick fun at MAGA and Trump, or do you truly believe that he believes that they did the right thing with how corrupt they were on that January committee? You guys let me know what your thoughts are about that particular story in the comment section below. Now, I hope everyone got to enjoy their New Year's. Unfortunately, there was 2 attacks to kick off this year, and it has led to more questions than we have answers, and has sparked a lot of controversy, especially when we saw what Trump had to say about it and how the media reacted to it. So if you guys want to check out that particular video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.